Okay, so we got through those last really, really, really sketch fallen angels. The very last one, so in book 3, chapter 4, we are in verse 13. So let's read about the very last one. It says, "And this is the task of Casbiel, the chief of the oath which he showed to the holy ones when he dwelt high above in glory, and its name is Beka." So that one was confusing because it had two different names in it. So let's break it down. So Casbiel is the chief of the oath. So he's responsible to be in charge of a very particular oath that was granted to him. So what is an oath? Well, one of the definitions is a holy statement. So this fallen is in charge of the statement. So whether it's a phrase or something that needs to be said, this is his responsibility to be in charge of that. And that oath, that statement, has a name, and the name of that oath is Beka. So continuing verse 14, this angel, so that was Casbiel, requested Michael to show him the hidden name, that he might enunciate it in the oath, so that those might quake before that name and oath, who revealed all that was in secret to the children of men. So apparently Archangel Michael knows a very specific hidden name that the rest of them don't know. And this fallen angel at the time was asking him, hey, tell me that hidden name. I want to put it in this oath that I am over, that I'm responsible for, because I know if I say this oath with that special hidden name, it says those might quake before him. So he just really wants the power of whatever this hidden name is to insert it in the oath. Verse 15, "And this is the power of the oath, for it is powerful and strong, and he placed this oath, Achae, in the hand of Michael." So he's actually responsible for two different oaths or statements. We've learned the first one is called Beka, second one is called Achae. So what is this second oath about? It makes clear here that the oath states, "The earth was founded upon the water, and from the secret recesses of the mountains come beautiful waters from the creation of the world and unto eternity." Right? We know we're founded on water. And if you study maritime, you definitely know that. The sea was created as its foundation. He set for it the sand against a time of anger, and it dare not pass beyond it from the creation of the world unto eternity. So the sand is not moving either. "The depths made fast and abide and stir not from their place. And the sun and moon complete their course and deviate not. The stars complete their course, and he calls them by their name." That ends the fallen and what they were over and why they're convicted now. Let's move on to book 4, which is the kingdom of heaven. Hey, so welcome back to book 4. It is called the kingdom of heaven. We're going to start with chapter 1, and it's called Enoch is taken. Verse 1 says, "And it came to pass after this, that his name during his lifetime was raised aloft to that Son of Man, and to the Lord of spirits from amongst those who dwell on the earth." So just to be clear, I know it says that his name was raised alongside, like Son of Man, who we know as Yeshua or Jesus, and Lord of spirits, which is God. I don't think that they're saying that he's on equal planes with them. Certainly not. But I do believe that they're saying that his name was said so much and in high reverence, for the people who are still on earth. It's like this one man is over there with them. So of course they're going to talk about him a lot. So second verse continues and says, "And he was raised aloft on the chariots of the spirit, and his name vanished amongst them." So Enoch says now, "And from that day I was no longer numbered amongst them. And he set me between the two winds, between the north and the west, where the angels took the cords to measure for me the place for the elect and righteous." So Enoch is being clear right here that he's no longer a part of the people here on earth. He's been taken away. He continues and says, "And there I saw the first fathers and the righteous who from the beginning dwell in that place." I'm assuming first fathers, it's Adam, and then the sons of Adam, he's seeing them here. "And it came to pass after this that my spirit was translated, and it ascended into the heavens. I saw the holy sons of God. They were stepping on flames of fire. Their garments were white, and their faces shone like snow." As we know, there's a lot of reference to snow, whiteness. I get that it upsets people. I believe that a lot of things that I have read, it describes light, right? So light has this brightness. So I guess if he's looking at these heavenly beings, he's seeing this very stark whiteness, lightness is what I'm gathering from this. So they're illuminating beings. Okay, continues verse 7. And I saw 2 streams of fire, and the light of that fire shone like hyacinth, and I fell on my face before the Lord of spirits. The angel Michael seized me by my right hand and lifted me up and led me forth into all the secrets, and he showed me all the secrets of righteousness. So he continues to talk about what he sees in heaven, the angels, the cherubims, the seraphims, what the structures look like. We spoke about that a lot in previous chapters. He just goes over it again. But then he says he saw the head of days, which we know is God, and says his head white and pure as wool, and his raiment is indescribable. So when he sees God, God actually comes forward to him with the other angels and starts describing who Jesus is. So meet me there. Okay, so we've learned that Enoch is no longer on earth. He has officially been taken into heaven. He's now seeing God. God is coming forward to him, and he's actually going to explain to him who is Jesus and what is his purpose. So let's see what Yahweh says. Book 4, chapter 1, verse 20. He says, and he, this is God, and he came to me and greeted me with his voice and said unto me, this is the Son of Man, who is born unto righteousness, and righteousness abides over him, and the righteousness of the head of days forsakes him not. He said unto me, he proclaims unto thee peace in the name of the world to come. For from hence has proceeded peace since the creation of the world, and so shall it be until thee forever and forever and ever. All right, let's break down all these thens, hences. So what is God saying? God is saying that his Son of Man, right? His Son of Man, was born in righteousness. And he's coming, he says, he proclaims unto thee peace. So he's coming to proclaim peace on you in the name of the world to come. So he's not coming because it's peaceful right now. He's coming because there's going to be peace. And he's come from peace, and peace has been a thing way before the creation of this world. So those in heaven have always known peace. And so he's coming to bring that. Just my thoughts on how that was worded. God continues and says, and all shall walk in his ways, since righteousness never forsaketh him. With him will be their dwelling place, and with him their heritage, and they shall not be separated from him forever and ever and ever. And so there shall be length of days with that Son of Man, and the righteous shall have peace and an upright way in the name of the Lord of spirits forever and ever. So to break that down, it says that all of us should be walking with him because he is righteousness. It never leaves him. And so it continues and says that, with him should be our dwelling place. That's where we should live. That's where we should stay, is in this righteousness, because it is through him that we gain our heritage or everlasting life. And we should never separate from him. So really strong message here. And I just think it's awesome. It ends this chapter by saying, and so there shall be lengths of days with that Son of Man, and the righteous shall have peace and an upright way in the name of the Lord of spirits forever and ever. Okay, so it ends that chapter. The next chapter starts talking about the luminaries. So like the sun, the moon, it gets very, very specific. I found that next part to be so interesting because it shows you that nothing is happening by chance. The sun, the moon, the stars, they're just not doing things just because. So meet me in that one. Hey, welcome back. So last part, God was explaining what Jesus' purpose was, what he was going to do when he comes here. This is book 4, chapter 2. We're going to jump into the luminaries. So Enoch is speaking. Archangel Uriel is the one who is going to explain to him the luminaries because that is the area that Archangel is over. So let's get into it. So the first law of the luminaries is the sun has its rising in the eastern portals of the heaven and its settings in the western portals of heaven. Enoch continues and says, I saw 6 portals in which the sun rises and 6 portals in which the sun sets, and the moon rises and sets in these portals, and the leaders of the stars and those whom they lead, 6 in the east and 6 in the west, and all following each other in accurately corresponding order. Also, many windows to the right and left of these portals. So interesting, 6 east, 6 west, that's 12, right? And 12 comes up everywhere. 12 months of the year, 12 disciples, 12 is everywhere. So 12 is a really important number here. So let's continue. Verse 5 says, first there goes forth the great luminary, named the sun, and his circumference is like the circumference of the heaven. He is quite filled with illuminating and heating fire. The chariot on which he ascends, the wind drives, and the sun goes down from the heaven and returns through the north in order to reach the east, and is so guided that he comes to the appropriate portal and shines in the face of heaven. So the sun rises in the first month in the great portal, which is the fourth portal. From this, the sun rises in the first month, and there are 12 window openings from which proceed a flame when they are open in the season. See, we just said that. There are 12 months, and here they're going to talk about the portals and that there are 12 windows in the portal. So it continues and says, when the sun rises in the heaven, he comes forth through that fourth portal 30 mornings in succession and sets accurately in the fourth portal in the west of the heaven. After that, the sun rises in the fifth portal of the east 30 mornings and rises from it and sets in the fifth portal. So he's moved from the fourth after 30 days to the fifth. So you can see the rotation here. It also describes from that first portal that's in, that they call the fourth portal, that the days are longer, nights are shorter. And as it goes through each one of those portals, so then portal 5, the fifth portal, the days are a little bit, not as long, and then the nights are a little bit longer. So just like how, we see now in our everyday life. The sun continues in this way. It also says the sun and the moon are the same size. And so let's jump into the next part to discuss the moon. So I will see you there. Hey, welcome to this part where we're going to talk about the moon. By the way, the last part about the sun had about 37 different verses just describing it and talking about the percentage of how much sun is going to be out there, like 11 parts to 9 parts. So you can certainly read that if you want to get like the scientific area of it. I just went over the general, like the portals, how many days it's in there and such. So now let's jump into the moon. It also said about the sun that it is 7-fold brighter than that of the moon, but as regard to the size of it, they are both equal. The moon here is referred to as the smaller luminary. Interestingly enough, although they're the same size, the sun was referred to as the great luminary. Now, the moon is described that her light is given to her in measure. So if you remember, the sun is like full light. It's 7 times as much, full light. The moon is given its light percentage by percentage. So let's talk about that. It says, her first phase in the east comes forth on the 30th morning. On that day, she becomes visible and constitutes for you the first phase of the moon on the 30th day together with the sun in the portal where the sun rises. Half of her goes forth by a 7th part, and her whole circumference is empty without light, with the exception of 1/7 part of it, the 14th part of her light. I know that's confusing, but think of it this way. The first night of the moon, it is just a tiny little sliver of light that we can see. So they're dividing up in parts here. So if you think of the moon as like a whole, half would be like a half moon, so 50%. So they're showing you right in the beginning, it is 1/14 of the moon is showing. And this will continue to add a little bit more light or illumination as each night continues on. Enoch says, I saw the law for her, how according to that law, she performs her monthly revolution. So for women, monthly revolution should probably mean something to you as well. Another reason the moon is referred to as she, it is feminine. And we, also have a monthly revolution that does coincide and go along with it. So let's continue. I'm going to insert an image just to give you a visual of how, I know that we know this, but just to give you a visual of, each day, how the moon is given a little bit more light until it becomes completely full moon. And then it goes back down until it becomes what we call a new moon, which is no light. That part, just like the sun part, gets very, very mathematical about how much in percentages. So you can certainly read that, but I won't go through all this because I think it's a lot to take in a 3-minute video. But something interesting. So it says the sun has 2 names. The first is Ordheres and the second is Thomas. The moon has 4 names. Names are Asonia, Ebla, Benes, and the 4th is Array.